What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, then welcome to our little corner of the internet. Today we're going to be watching a video titled 12 Things Every Man from the 1930s Had in His Pockets. Men's historical EDC. I have no idea what you would have in your pockets in the 1930s. I mean, I guess the house keys. Maybe a napkin. I don't know. That sounds like a 1930s thing. Nowadays, obviously, phone, house keys, probably like AirPods. I don't know. I don't know. Let's see what this video is about.
Perhaps no decade better exemplifies the...
Oh, wait. Why am I not? Oh, my headphones are not on. I am completely professional. Yeah, don't question.
Perhaps no decade better exemplifies the golden age of menswear than the 1930s. But are the items men were carrying as part of their EDC just as timeless as the best of their wardrobes? Let's find out. We've listed 10 items, or collection of items, plus a couple of bonuses at the end. Let's get started by paying up front with our first collection, number 1, monetary implements, including
Oh, of course, a wallet.
and coat wallets, cash, checkbook, and change. Wallets of the time were used in large part to carry cash, though they also provided the ability to carry a few cards men might have. No credit cards yet, of course, but driver's licenses or, especially in the US, other government-related ID forms for New Deal programs like the Civilian Conservation Corps, established in 1933, Works Progress or Work Projects Association, 1935, Social Security, also 1935, or food stamps, 1939. When it came to cash, ample space for bills was universal in wallets, with European models often retaining a coin purse element, whereas Americans would sooner carry change loose in a pocket for payphones, relatively new for the time parking meters, and so on. Simple leather bifolds were the most...
But does America have coins? Isn't a dollar like the smallest? Isn't it everything is bills? Or do you guys have coins? A quarter? Is that a quarter of a dollar? Is that a coin? Is there coin? Wait, how do I not know this?
Common style, with larger coat wallets also available, and while men who remained well-to-do in the face of the Great Depression might carry a bejeweled money clip, such open displays of wealth were seen as being in poor taste by the common man. Meanwhile, checks from a checkbook were the standard for transferring large sums or making significant purchases. And as we often mention, we are proud to offer a selection of premium bifold and slim wallets in our Fort Belvedere shop, so take a look. Item number 2 is a handkerchief. Handkerchiefs were carried by a great many men in the 30s to be used...
I've heard this word before. I was like, what is a handkerchief? And you guys were like, she doesn't know what a handkerchief is. I don't, but now I will.
On an as-needed basis for things like cleaning spectacles, wiping off surfaces or one's hands, or mopping one's brow. Typically made from washable cotton or linen, they could occasionally feature designs, but were often in simple...
I told you they'll have a napkin. It's a napkin, it's the same thing.
...solid colors, or just plain white, with personalization usually taking the form of embroidered initials. More rugged men, like farmers or laborers, might instead carry a bandana, even better suited to the dirty or grimy conditions they'd encounter. Let's continue on with this subset of utilitarian items, next covering number 3.
Why do people not carry those around anymore? I always carry napkins around, and usually wet wipes or like something, but usually people don't carry like napkins around. Why? Why? Why not? That should become a thing again.
Pocket knife or multi-tool. This is a fairly self-explanatory inclusion on our list, as not only did simple 1- or 2-blade slip-joint knives have a variety of uses in this time period, such as shaving plug tobacco, opening mail or packages, as a screwdriver, or even for hobbies like whittling, but multi-tool...
That also is something that I had as a child, but it's illegal to carry here actually, so...
like the Swiss Army knife boasted even more. A man would have access not only to blades, but to things like proper screwdrivers, bottle openers, small scissors, and nail files. This last is noteworthy because while wealthier men might still get a manicure in conjunction with a haircut and shave as part of their grooming routine, those hit harder by the Depression would sooner tend to their nails themselves. Knife brands of the time included Imperial, Camillus, Remington, and Western States in the US, and John Watts and Joseph Rogers in the UK, among others. Models often featured handles made from early plastics like celluloid or bakelite, and could sometimes feature advertising for local or national companies. The handy theme continues with our next item, number 4, a compact sewing kit or house.
You're lying. Who is gonna carry all this in their pockets? A compound sewing kit in their pockets? Like, all of this up to now, okay. But, like, what are their pockets? Like, you know, like the infinite magician's hat? I don't think so.
Wife. According to sources including Waldorf handwork educators of Makawao, Hawaii, and the Waynedale News of Fort Wayne, Indiana, the tradition of carrying a small portable sewing kit dates back to at least the mid-1700s, with both men and women carrying such kits, especially when traveling, in order to mend clothing that happened to suffer damage under the somewhat rougher living conditions of that time. Indeed, 1749 marks the first recorded use of what would become a common term for such a kit, the housewife, alternatively huswife, hussif, or hussy. Fast forward.
For some reason, I just feel like that wouldn't slide today. It's called the housewife. It's a sewing kit. That's funny.
To the 20th century, these kits had been standard issue in World War I to most soldiers in the US, France, and the UK, and other Commonwealth countries, and would be again during World War II. Meanwhile, in the interwar years of the 30s, they came in equally handy during the Great Depression, when adopting a waste not, want not mentality was crucial. Whether a veteran had again begun carrying his military housewife from the Great War, or had purchased, or hand-assembled a similar kit, it was likely to contain such notions as needles, pins, thread of varying thicknesses for sewing or darning, buttons, a thimble, small fabric swatches, wax for waterproofing, and small scissors. Thus, rather than needing to take clothing in need of minor repairs to a tailor, let alone throwing it away, a man with knowledge of simple mending skills could take care of the task himself. Such portable sewing kits are still available today, though they're no longer referred to by housewife or similar terms. The UK Ministry of Defence even formally phased out the term in a military context in 2019. And for a few more small metal implements, we turn to our next item, number 5, keys on a metal key ring. With keys for homes, cars, offices, P.O. boxes, and more,
I mean, nowadays as well, no?
a part of everyday life,
I think at some point we're probably gonna have, like, instead of keys, probably gonna, like, open up our doors with our phone or something.
men of the 30s needed a way
Don't take my business idea.
to keep said keys easily accessible, and would often do so by means of a simple metal key ring, usually brass, sometimes with a chain component similar to a pocket watch that could be worn in much the same way. Said chains could also be attached to one's belt, and a fad of the time saw chains, fobs, and buckles sold in sets with harmonious decoration. Since we just mentioned pocket watches, let's next move to number 6, the wristwatch or pocket watch. The decade of the 1930s was a significant one in the world of timepieces, specifically in terms of how men's preferences shifted regarding the form factor of their watches. Whether considering Swiss makers like the so-called Holy Trinity of Vacheron Constantin, Patek Philippe, and Audemars Piguet, Japanese brands like Seiko, or American manufacturers like Hamilton, Elgin, or Bulova, the story is the same. At the beginning of the decade, sales of pocket watches and wristwatches were roughly comparable, but even by the middle of the decade, wristwatches were outselling pocket watches. This was due to a number
I mean, I feel like nowadays wristwatches is a big thing as well for a lot of people.
of factors. World War I veterans preferring the portable, handy, or would that be wristy, nature of their trench watches, which evolved into wristwatches. The slow decline of waistcoats due to stylistic preferences and the rise of central heating, later to be hastened by cloth rationing, and potentially the move away from ostentatious displays of wealth that we mentioned earlier. All that to say, wristwatches were now the dominant force in timekeeping. with popular brands and/or models on the market, including the Rolex Oyster Perpetual, introduced in 1931, Jaeger Reverso, also 1931, with the company becoming Jaeger-LeCoultre in 1937, and Patek Philippe Calatrava, 1932, in the luxury sector, and the Elgin Legionnaire, Bulova President and Banker, and Hamilton Ardmore in the more budget-friendly sector. We'd also be remiss not to mention that the Waterbury Clock Company, under their Ingersoll line of wristwatches and pocket watches, largely remained in business during the Great Depression thanks to a licensing agreement with Disney, producing the world's first character watches featuring Mickey Mouse with moving arms, beginning in 1933, a now iconic design. And while pocket watches were no longer dominant, they did still sell well.
Wait, when was Mickey Mouse born? How old is Mickey Mouse?
Especially with men for whom railroad-grade accuracy was a priority, with popular pieces including the Hamilton 99-2E and 99-2B, and Elgin B.W. Raymond, as well as luxury models like the Omega caliber 38 5L T1. Next, let's move from the highly precise world of watches to the less precise world of alcohol consumption with our number 7 item, the pocket or hip flask. Flasks as we know them today have existed since at least
that people don't really carry around anymore if you're not an alcoholic.
The 18th century. The historical record isn't quite clear. As we've joked elsewhere, perhaps the flask's inventors were imbibing too much to bother writing things down. By the early 20th century, they were being made from metals, including pewter and silver, alternatively from glass, and sometimes with accents in leather or fabric. With the passage of the 18th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution and the Volstead Act, prohibition was in effect in America between 1920 and 1933. And while it prohibited production and sale of alcohol, that wasn't exactly true for consumption. As such, many, if not most, American men would occasionally carry a clandestine flask during Prohibition. And upon its repeal, such accessories could be carried and used even more freely. And while similar prohibition movements had also been tried in other nations and territories between the aughts and early 30s, liquor was flowing freely more or less worldwide, at least legally speaking, irrespective of things like religious traditions, from around 1933 onward. So, in addition to visiting a bar, pub, or tavern, some gents chose to carry their own potent potables in a flask. As long as we're on the topic of vices, let's move from drinking to our next collection of items, number 8, smoking implements, including cigarette or cigars and cases, a compact lighter or matches, and so on. Tobacco use.
This makes sense, yeah. I mean, if you're a smoker, you would have this in your pocket, but this is a lot of stuff. I can barely remember to take my phone, let alone my keys. I already got locked out of this apartment once. To be able to remember all of this.
Primarily by way of smoking of cigarettes.
When I go outside, usually I have my phone and I have my keys. That's it. Like, that's all I need. I usually don't take anything else, do I? Like, when I go, like, quickly outside to get something. If I have to go, like, outside, then I take my bag. And my bag has a lot of stuff. I don't know, maybe we could do a what's in my bag stream one day on Twitch. If you guys want to see what's in my bag.
Cigars and pipes was a ubiquitous cultural element in the US and other parts of the world in the 30s. While factory-made cigarettes could be carried in the packs in which they were sold, men would often transfer them, or put cigarettes they had hand-rolled themselves, into metal cases, generally kept in a jacket pocket for easy access. These cases could be more utilitarian, made from base metals and designed to stand up to rougher use, or more luxurious, featuring precious metals and design elements like engraving or monogramming. Cigars could be carried in similar cases, though men who wished for more ideal smoking conditions might sooner keep most of their cigars in a humidor or cigar box at home or in the office. And when it came to lighting up, traditionalists and the cost-conscious would use matches, but portable metal-bodied lighters were an increasingly common choice. Early models had been around since the 1910s, following the development of ferrocerium, basically synthetic flint. And in 1932, the iconic Zippo, with its windproof flame, came onto the scene. Zippo lighters and similar models from competitors
Zippo still exists.
utilized petroleum naphtha lighter fluid and a wick for reliable ignition and a strong, consistent flame. They were designed to be easily refillable and often had steel or gold-plated cases and other stylistic elements. While generally not quite as intricate and customizable in design as those of the following decades, they were still often designed in such a way as to be an extension of the user's personality and an investment piece, used for years after purchase. Meanwhile, though pipes were losing a bit of ground to cigarettes and cigars, they were still fairly common in the 30s. They did, however, require a larger list of accoutrements. Aside from the pipe itself, a man would also carry a leather or canvas pouch of tobacco, or larger carrying case, a tamper, and a method of lighting. Finally here, smokeless tobacco options like tins or plugs of snuff or chewing tobacco were also carried by some men. In short, there was plenty of tobacco to go around. Next, another vaguely cigar-shaped item is part of our following collection. Number 9, writing implements, including a fountain pen and pocket notebook. While the first patent for the ballpoint pen as we know it today, that is, a pen with a supply of viscous...
What? Is that like one of them that use ink in? Yeah.
For the ballpoint pen as we know it today, that is, a pen with a supply of viscous ink that could be smoothly applied to paper via a ball and socket mechanism, would be issued to Hungarian newspaper editor Laszlo Biro in 1938 in the UK, therefore a patent. Such pens wouldn't see widespread use until the 40s. As such, the fountain pen was still the
People don't even carry pens around anymore because you can write everything on your phone.
writing instrument of choice for the vast majority of men at this time, with popular brands including Parker, Waterman, Schaefer, Wall Eversharp, and especially in Europe, Pelikan. These pens typically had bodies made from acetate or early plastics like Bakelite with accents in base metals, while nibs were made from precious metals like gold with quality varying by price. And as for what those pens were used to write in and on, men jotting down notes while on the go often did so using pocket notebooks or memo pads, either book-bound or spiral-bound. One more collection takes up our final main list spot today, but don't forget to stick around for the bonuses we mentioned. This is number 10, hair care implements, including a comb and pomade. In the 1930s, the wearing of hats was certainly the default for gentlemen out and about or in public spaces. But even so, a man would still spend much of his day with his hat off, assuming he was following proper hat etiquette. As such, he was still expected to keep his hair well maintained, and, as with surrounding decades, a lustrous, slicked-back style accomplished with pomade was the most common treatment.
Do you guys carry combs around? I carry a hairbrush around. I feel like that's something that, I don't know. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Some people do, for sure.
To keep things in check, a comb was essential. More expensive models might still be made from horn, but as we alluded to when discussing pocket knives and pens, plastics like celluloid and bakelite were also used, and metal combs were available too. Combs of this era were usually in the basic rectangular or oblong shape, perhaps with two different finenesses of teeth, and folding models did exist as well, though they were more commonly meant to fit in ladies' handbags at this time. Some men might also go the extra mile of carrying a tin of pomade, though this wasn't as common as simply carrying a comb. Now, as promised, two bonus items, starting with bonus 1, paper ephemera. A far cry from the largely digital world of today, the world of the 30s featured much of the information of daily life conveyed on paper. In addition to the pens and notebooks we mentioned,
I just ate corn and now I feel like corn on the cob. Is that what it's called? Like sweet corn? I feel like I have pieces of corn between my teeth.
Before, a man might find himself carrying things like newspapers, ticket stubs, schedules and timetables for public transit, maps, and so on. And that's not even mentioning whatever papers he might be carrying to and from the office. Finally, we've got bonus 2, novelty hand games. Especially during the hard time.
I freaking love that. Just walk around with like cards in your pocket.
Times of the Great Depression, men often needed both a way to kill a bit of time and a fun diversion to lighten the mood for a while. And he could accomplish both by means of a short game, alone or with friends, aided by things like decks of cards, or, in a popular fad of the era, handheld skill games, often featuring metal balls to be shot or rolled into specific areas, somewhat akin to pinball. Now that we've wrapped up our list of 1930s EDC items, that's game over for today's video. But before we go, we'd like to know, which items were you surprised by, and are there any you think we missed? Also, do you carry any of these items in your current EDC, or have we inspired you to start? Share with us in the comments below.
I don't think there's anything that they missed. What surprised me was probably mostly the sewing kit, but I mean, it makes sense. But I never have I ever thought about that. Thank you guys for joining me for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Please leave a like, subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you guys in the next video.